What up, Misfits? Welcome to the Misfit Heroes podcast. My name is Chris, and together we are going on a journey. Misfits, have you ever wanted to help the less fortunate, but maybe you don't have the wherewithal or financial capacity to help others yourself? Well, if so, you need to listen to this episode. This is a common occurrence and unfortunately a tough reality in America. How many times have you seen someone begging on a street corner and literally hundreds of cars are driving by without any attention given to that person? Couple that with the fact that according to a 2021 study by the National Law Center on Homelessness and Poverty, nearly 25% of the homeless in America suffer from mental health issues. And that makes it almost understandable for those people that are driving by. My guest tonight saw that need during his time walking back and forth to medical school, and he decided that this was a problem that he could help fix. Ken Kim is the creator of Crypto for the Homeless, a New Jersey-based nonprofit that uses cryptocurrency to reimburse people that buy homeless and houseless people meals. We discuss his reasoning for using crypto as a reimbursement platform, how the usage of crypto has served meals on a global scale, and how you can get involved for free. Modern problems require modern solutions, Misfits. So let's get to solving. Please welcome Ken Kim.
Playing the Misfit Heroes podcast.
Crypto for the Homeless. I've often wondered what types of projects can get off the ground for homeless people that may not have any type of knowledge or interest in cryptocurrency. And what you're doing is just really amazing. Welcome to the podcast. How have things been going for you recently?
Yeah, pretty good. It's been increasing, scaling up, and gaining popularity. We've also been streamlining our our operations in general. I would say, things are looking pretty good. We're doing.
Like I said, I think what you're doing is just fantastic. And let's just jump right into it right from the gate. So
Yeah.
Crypto for the Homeless, it sounds very catchy. It's a very intriguing title, but what exactly is the program and how does it work?
A few years ago, when I was just starting pharmacy school, it's in the inner city of Philadelphia. Like, it's not in a really great neighborhood. So on my way to school and on my way back, I would see a ton of homeless people. I've always, I've always I felt really bad. I wanted to do something for them, but I just didn't really know, other than giving them money or food directly. I wasn't really sure what to do, like what the best way to do that was. And then a huge inspiration for this project actually is a couple sci-fi movies. So like Blade Runner is one of them, and another one is In Time with Justin Timberlake. So there's actually a lot more movies than just those two, but a really common dystopian image you see in a lot of these movies is that in the future, when technology has just completely taken over the world, you see the cities, and everybody's on their air bikes. Cars are flying everywhere, there are robots roaming the streets, but there's still homeless people begging for not money but credits, and you see them holding up like a barcode, and it's like, wow, it's kind of sad when you see that, right? You're like, wow, we're in the future, and there's all this advancement, we've made the impossible possible, and like now even the homeless people, they're using like future technology, but it's the same problem, it's the issue of not enough resources for everybody. And like that scene, or that type of that scene basically really stood out to me, and I was thinking like, hey, that's something that kind of can happen right now. Like if I imagine a homeless person holding a QR code right now and asking for Bitcoin or something like that. I was thinking like it's sad, but at the same time, actually, I bet people would donate to them, because it's so it's so different than what they're normally doing, right? Like if I saw that on the street, I would instantly take a picture. I would be just so shocked, and I would be like, wow, this, like, how do they know what Bitcoin is? Like how did it come down to this? You know what I mean? Like, this is insane. Let me give them Bitcoin. I would definitely want to do something like that. So basically, that was kind of like the inspiration. And then the way I thought it could be the most effective is if I do the collecting or crowdsourcing for them, basically using Bitcoin online, and then just I'm able to utilize those funds in any way I see fit, basically. So if I were to just, let's say, collect money, go get hot pizza and hand deliver it to them, I can even reach the people that are like in weird areas of the city. Like I've delivered pizza to the homeless people that live in tents under a bridge. And this is like a very scary, dangerous part of the city where I'm pretty sure nobody, like people normally don't pass by that area just because it's, typically the type of area that most people would want to avoid probably. But even to those people, I've delivered pizza, so it's just something like I feel like would probably not be possible if it wasn't done this way. Like maybe there are a lot of ways to end up with that result, but this is just the way I decided to do it, and it ended up working pretty well. So basically, yeah, it utilizes the power of internet crowdfunding. Um, the reason why I chose to do that also was because I noticed that online a lot of people crowdfund for many different good causes. Like I see a lot of families that have medical hardships, and then they decide, hey, like my relative has cancer, they don't have insurance, please, here's a GoFundMe, and then like they put it on Facebook, and boom, like you know, people from all over the world, they just share the resources, and there's like usually they have enough money to fund such a good source, a good cause, right? So I thought like being able to harness that type of resource online, just being, I guess you just need to be either popular enough or your cause has to just resonate with enough people where it becomes popular. Once you're able to achieve that, like if I were to be able to achieve that, I thought I would also be able to kind of like redirect those collected funds to something good, you know what I mean? Like to my own project. And I chose crypto because, well, like, yeah, it's decentralized, so no one can kind of stop the project just because they don't like it, or they think it's a scam or something like that. Like for example, if I use PayPal, uh, there's a high likelihood that after a certain amount of funds, just because it's a large amount of funds, PayPal could just freeze the account, maybe investigate it, and then later on, if they see that it's okay, or if they audit it, then then maybe they'll unfreeze it. But like, there's a high chance that something like that can happen, and not just PayPal, but basically whatever service that you use that has a central figure controlling whether or not the funds come in and out, right? Like I think that's a huge negative. So that's one of the primary reasons why I chose to use crypto for something like this, because I can do the project. If people donate to me, no one can stop that. If I choose to spend it, no one can stop that either. Like it's just completely decentralized. It's 100% of the responsibility falls on me, or the administrators of the organization. It's been 3 years now. It's it started out with just myself. Like I went out for the first time handing out some food out of my own pocket, and then I took a picture of what I did. I posted it on Reddit and some other social media, and immediately I got support. Like I got I think it was like $30. People donated like $30 of Bitcoin Cash at the start, and I would say that was the most important donation because that allowed me to continue to go out. I saw that as basically a lifeblood for the organization. Like I was thinking, oh, $30, that's maybe two more times I can go out and hand out food. That's two more chances for me to, get pictures and potentially gain the support of, more people. And that's exactly what happened. So I went out again. I took more pictures. I created the flyers, like a early less advanced version of the flyers that you probably see in the pictures now on my website, but they still had QR codes to our wallets. So I posted those pictures, and then the second and third time it was wildly successful. Like instead of $30, I think I got like $400, and then that pretty much guaranteed that I was able to go out at least 10 more times or more. And then I think the third time I went out, someone donated like $2,000, and then that was it, right? The rest is history. So yeah, it just gave us life. So it let us continue going out for, like months or even a year basically. And then, at this point, like I think just getting the attention of the right people online with who support the project, and they also have the resources to, like they graciously, support us. I think just getting the attention of those people really allowed us to survive. And now we're at a point where we can easily go for, I'd say, 10 plus years without even receiving a single penny more, just based on what we currently have. It's like funds are not even something I'm really too worried about. It's more just manpower that we need now. Like now my focus is not just going out myself, but having volunteers from all over the world to go out, do the food or goods handouts, and then get reimbursed by us. So like we already have a lot of people who do that for us. Our most prominent volunteers are from New Zealand. So if you look at our website, you can see in the past year they've done a tremendous job. Like they've gone out. I don't even know how many times now, probably like 10 plus times. They have a huge group of people there. So they do groceries, they cook everything, they divide it up into these containers, and then they go out to this really populated area in New Zealand where there's a lot of needy people. And then they just hand out home cooked meals to, I would say, hundreds of people every time. And you can even see that everyone's holding up the Crypto for the Homeless flyer, basically, because of our partnership. I reimburse their groceries on a regular basis now, and it feels good to do that because I feel like we've crossed this barrier. Like, it's international, because it's crypto reimbursement. I don't have to worry about like what kind of money I have to send them. I don't even have to convert to New Zealand money. Um, yeah, it's basically like that, and then they have their own way of cashing out, like on their own terms. So that's something that I don't have to also worry about as well. So it's very convenient.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think it's very inventive. I want to go back to a thing you said earlier about, this all started kind of how you were on your way to class as a pharmacist. Now, as a pharmacist, did you have any type of background in crypto already, or was this just sort of a spur of the moment type idea? Like, how did you get into the actual crypto space?
That was pharmacy school, right? So yeah, there's nothing crypto related in pharmacy whatsoever. Like, I don't think even one time during pharmacy school they've ever mentioned anything about that. Um, it's just from my own background. So I'm like really, really tech savvy. I have a lot of, kind of nerdy hobbies, I guess. Like, I'm a big time gamer. Like, I collect, during my pharmacy school, I had to study so much. I didn't have a lot of time for myself. So during that time, what I did was just collect gaming consoles. Like, if I went on Facebook Marketplace and I saw like, hey, someone is selling like I don't know, like an Xbox One for like $90. I would try to make a deal with them, and then during my free time, I would try to pick it up for a really good price and just kind of collect it, but not play it because I had to study, And then like,
Yeah.
finally, now that I'm done with pharmacy school and I'm actually working and I have more time for myself, I have like this collection of gaming systems here that I've accumulated during pharmacy school. So basically, that's just the kind of guy I am, Like, I like that's
Yeah.
I like that type of thing. Even before pharmacy school, I was really into just like tech news and whatnot. And I really got into crypto. Like, I like the idea of crypto. I thought it was really cool. Basically like the fact that it's decentralized, and that was the major draw for me, as well as the fact that there was a lot of communities in crypto. Like, there's various crypto communities, and everybody in there seems really like fanatic about it. And that there are a lot of bad parts to that too. But I kind of like I respect the fact that people are able to be fanatic about something like that. And that got me even more curious. I wanted to know what it was all about. Like, why are people going so crazy about it? And then I can see all the pros and cons about it. Like, I don't think crypto is the best or perfect, but it is something definitely worthy enough for me to invest personally into as well. And I thought like it's also something that I wanted to get involved with. Like, I wanted to do just kind of like a passion project about it. Before Crypto for the Homeless, I was actually considering doing like maybe like a marketplace or something, but it wasn't really like I guess like my heart wasn't really in that, because first of all, there's like a lot of better alternatives. Like, why not use eBay? Why not use Facebook Marketplace, or Craigslist or something like that, right? Like, why risk all your money in a crypto marketplace? And then on top of that, like, yeah, it wasn't really like something that made the world a better place. It was just like a really, just like a project that would do nothing, right? So I was like, I kind of decided not to do that. And then I guess early on in pharmacy school, the idea of crypto for the homeless really hit me, and I was like, "Hey, nobody's doing this. I haven't seen anyone online do anything like this. I have seen people online, uh, basically crowdfund using crypto. I have seen that, but I just haven't seen it being used for homeless people really that well. So I thought, hey, why not? Right? I can do something here that
Yeah, well, I love that aspect of it. The fact that you didn't really know a whole lot about it, but you just took that sort of step of faith into the space. You kind of combined these things that you were interested in, and then you not only applied them to yourself. Because I know in the crypto space, it seems like a lot of people, it's very easy to just be like, oh yeah, I could take that crypto payout, baby. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
just
yeah,
yank it out. But
yeah.
but the fact that you use that for someone else, I think that's just an amazing draw to your organization. I think it's very interesting what you do. So, with that being said, is it just you, or do you have like other teammates helping you out?
That's a good question. So it's not just me. Like, when I first started it, the first that first day I went out, yes, it was just me at the very very beginning. but we have co-founders. So basically, I have people that are very close to me that supported the idea of it at the very beginning. They also helped a lot with going out themselves after I discussed like the structure of the organization and how it would work. And then, I delegated a lot of duties separately, right? So we have a couple teammates that are founders of the organization. They help with a lot of things that I can't do on a day-to-day basis sometimes. Like right now, my schedule is typically busy during the daytime a lot, whereas one of the other members, she's able to handle like the website maintenance, volunteer training, et cetera, on a daily basis, right? Social media, like she's able to do that. Whereas for me, I can do things after I get home, but that stuff is better for the daytime, right? So we kind of we delegate a lot of duties like that. We've also had teammates that are, I'm not going to say one and done, but like they helped out with one specific thing, and like that's their major contribution to the project. For example, like we've had a lawyer, a tax attorney who reached out to me very early on, and he said, "Hey man, what you're doing is great. You need to think about the legal aspect of this. You can't just if you want to be taken seriously, you need to be a registered charity. I can help you do that. You probably don't know what to do, so I'm going to register you as an LLC. I'll get you 501c3 status as well. You just have to, like I'll guide you through it." And then he basically did everything that he could do without me first. Like he got all the forms, all the registrations, and then he sent me like any form that I had to fill out, any kind of mission statement and whatnot. And then we worked together basically, and then if I had to pay for something, I did. And then ultimately, thanks to his amazing help, we were able to get registered as a 501c3 status organization. So that's just one example. And then also like we've had people that are web developers or students in school for web design or something like that. Like we've had a lot of people reach out. They wanted to help with the website, help with marketing, like SEO stuff. So I always, as long as I vet them and like, they're actually coming from a good place, I always want to give people opportunities to help us out and potentially benefit themselves, right? Because it's like, it's something that they could also add to their resume. So, I'm always quick to accept help and work together.
That's actually one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about. One of the things that's come up is we're actually working on starting a nonprofit that helps the homeless as well. I mentioned to you before we got on the call that I'm on an island right now, and because of that, we have a lot of issues with people losing their homes due to storms or floods or hurricanes, and fire is very common down here as well. So one of the things that we're working on is using the tiny home movement for people that are evacuated from their homes or something like that, or if their home, we just had 3 houses wash away into the ocean, just wash away off the beach. And what would have happened is we would basically bring a tiny home in place and basically park it for them as temporary crisis housing, so they would have a place to stay. They wouldn't have to worry about all that while they're rebuilding their life a little bit. Going through that whole nonprofit creation status has been a very interesting journey.
It is, yeah.
It's definitely a difficult task. So I definitely feel your pain with that side of it. How difficult for you with cryptocurrency? I mean, was that even more difficult? Were there any like tax liabilities you had to be aware of? Did you have any hiccups with that?
A little bit. So basically, we were in correspondence with, I forget what the title of the person is, but there is somebody that works in the state of New Jersey, because that's where the state we're registered in. We had to stay in correspondence with him, and he was asking us like for a mission statement, kind of like the details of how, like what the organization is for exactly, like where the funds are coming from. So that had to be very detailed. So I think we had to go back and forth a few times regarding that. But the other aspects of it, they were mainly handled by the tax attorney. Like he did a great job. So I think I personally didn't see the the really bad parts of the registration process. And then regarding taxes, it's a little simpler for us because at least as of now, we as a charity average less than $50,000 a year in terms of revenue, or I mean donations, I guess, if or whatever you want to call it. I think that's the threshold. So if it goes above that, you have to file taxes in a different way. But for us, because it's lower, it's like a really simple. It's called like an e-postcard. So we can it's a really fast process. So every time I file it every year, it's just like very pain free. So maybe in the future, if the donations exceed that on an average yearly basis, then we do have to step it up. But for now, it's like pretty simple.
I'm interested in seeing how that plays out for you. I know in the entire crypto space as a whole, that's been one of the concerns over the last couple of years is tax liabilities and things like that, even
Yeah.
just on a personal level for the crypto thing.
Oh,
But
absolutely. Yeah.
but yeah, that's very interesting. Well, I'm glad to hear that it was a fairly simple transition for that as well. With that being said, everybody knows about Bitcoin, but what other types of crypto do you guys accept for donations?
Basically, at the start, when I first created the flyer, I just wanted to make sure that we were able to accommodate for the major cryptos, right? The most popular ones. So when I did that, I was doing that because I wanted to make sure that we were able to not limit ourselves just to one crypto, because I think if we accepted, like, let's say 8 cryptos, we'd be able to kind of penetrate many different communities, because each crypto has its own community on Reddit, and also the internet, basically, right? And they don't always necessarily play nice with each other as well. So, like, for example, some it's kind of sad but true. So some of them are basically really anti-Bitcoin, or some of them are anti things that are not Bitcoin. Like, I've seen this type of sentiment before, right? So when I first started it, it was just 8, and it was like Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, Ethereum, I think Monero, and then I also put like a couple meme coins in there, not because I really believed in their value, as like, I didn't think like I would get $1,000 of a meme coin. I really didn't, right? But like, I know that the communities behind them are they're very like fanatic, and also they're very large, and they like to banter in there. They like to discuss things in there. And even if I didn't receive one penny from them, right? I thought just being able to, first of all, say that I included that coin in my project. It's kind of fun, right? It's like, hey, not only do I accept Bitcoin, I also accept like Dogecoin or Banana or something like that, And then on top of that, if I'm able, like they could see that, and it'll probably be like a like a conversation starter. They're like, oh wow, the crypto for the homeless supports Dogecoin, yay! And then if I'm able to be discussed in the community as well, then maybe maybe they'll support me. Maybe they'll spread word about me or something. I didn't see any harm in it, basically, right? So I started like that, and then after I did receive a decent amount of donations in pretty much most of the coins that I put on the flyer. After that, I thought, hey, why not scale it up? Like, the flyer has a lot of room on it. Like, why not just fill it up completely, be efficient. So then I kind of created many different designs of the flyer until you see the one that I'm using right now, and it has 20 different cryptos on it. So I'm not going to go through all of them, but basically you'll see, like, Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, like Solana, VeChain, Ravencoin, XRP, Cardano, like all. Yeah, some of these coins are not really well known, but they, like, the way I chose it was basically I just pulled up like Coin Market Cap, which is like it kind of shows you the top list of all the like the thousands of cryptos, right? Based on market cap. So just basically, like, I guess how much money is just collectively in the
Involved.
coin. I went down the list, and I looked on Reddit. I saw which ones had active communities, and I just kind of did it like that. And there's some coins on the list that I have yet to receive any kind of support from, both financially and even in the community. Like, there's some communities where when I posted in their subreddit, they just delete the post right away, and
Oh
there's nothing I
wow.
can do about that. Yeah, like some of these projects still just don't like my project at all, or some of the communities rather don't support crypto for the homeless, and that's okay.
Right.
Like, I think it's fine. Uh, and maybe I'll just in the future, like, swap out. I'll experiment with what communities do support us, and kind of swap the flyer and the coins we accept based on that. But yeah, another reason why I put so many coins on there is just that it looks cool. Like, the flyer kind of stands out when you see so many QR codes on it. It kind of looks it looks strange. Like, when you see it, you're like, whoa, what is that? Like, if you don't even know what a QR code is, it probably looks crazy. Like, it looks like some kind of secret code or something. So
Right.
I I think it serves a dual purpose. Like, it stands
A
out.
lot of the cryptocurrencies, they don't often have the best use case attached to them. So I would think they would
Exactly.
be all over something like that. Like, hey, this is something
Yeah.
that you can actually use this coin for versus being like a crypto bro or whatever you want to call it and say,
Yeah.
oh, well, how much money can you make with this crypto?
Yeah. Exactly.
There's a lot of people that are creating their own coins and things like that. Have you thought about maybe creating one of your own coins as well?
So people that have seen our project have responded. Like, they posted comments and also directly messaged me about that. They said, like, hey, why not create your own token, or do something like that. And like I have thought about that, right? Because it would be cool to have that. Just the way that it's utilized, I think it would be something that I need to think about first, more heavily, because I don't want it to get be a victim of like a pump and dump, right? Like where
Mm.
people who support it,
Yep.
like they put money into it, and then like a really bad actor would just pump and dump it, and then like even if I didn't touch it, like I would be held liable for that, like I or like people would hate on us for something like that happening. I don't want that to happen. So that's a huge reason why I might not do it. But that's not to say like if I put a disclaimer on it, because I have no idea what's going to happen if there's a coin created. Like if that will happen, I'll say like, hey, just be careful with your money here, or maybe use it as like a reward system. Like if people go volunteer for us, maybe we can use the token to be an incentive or something like that. I'm not sure, but yeah, basically that's about the extent I've thought about that. They've
Yeah.
also referred us to a token that already exists called Help the Homeless token or something like that, or Help the Homeless coin. It's like HTH coin, and the founder of that organization actually just recently reached out to me in our Discord, like in our chat. So
Wow.
one of my co-founders, she's like communicating with him right now to see if we could work together or something like that. I'm not really sure. Like I have heard of that project before, but I just really haven't done too much research into it. So as of right now, I'm not really well versed with what exactly they're about. I just know that like it's a new crypto. It's themed around homeless people, helping homeless people. Like then even it's in the very name, so like that really stands out to me, right? And it seems like if
Yeah.
it is what I think it is, then maybe it would be a pretty good match. Like we could work together or something. I think that's not a bad idea.
I think the utility of what you're trying to do is fantastic, and I think there need to be more projects like this in the future. Yeah, I mean the crypto aspect of it is kind of, I mean it's kind of timely, right?
Mhm.
But the utility and the use that you're providing behind it, I think is what's important. And I really think that's an amazing idea. Do you think this is something that could sort of replace or incentivize other types of homeless programs or low income assistance programs? I mean, do you think this is something that on a wide scale could be implemented more aggressively?
Yes, absolutely. So right now, something that I'm careful about, right? It's basically like the cash flow. So like I told you, we had enough funds to go for 10 years or 10 years plus. That's mainly because I control the level of spending per month very very cautiously, right? So every time I get a donation, at least at the start, I was looking at it as lifeblood for the organization. So when we got $30, for example, I told you that was like maybe 2 days or 3 days worth of going out to feed the homeless. I kind of look at it as a monthly spending allowance. So for example, if I say that we're going to spend like let's say $400 on uh, either buying food ourselves or reimbursing volunteers, based on that, it would last X amount of years. And then we can always adjust that, right? Like accordingly. But right now, that's kind of like a rough estimate of what I thought would be a good rate of spending. And then regarding like the rate of donations, that's not something that I can really control that well.
Right.
To a certain extent, what I did notice was the more aggressively that I posted in communities and kind of like advertised our deeds online, typically that kind of correlates with higher levels of donations. Just people saw it more often. Because people saw it more often, we were just bound to see get the attention of somebody that's well, financially well off, that supported the project and decided to donate to us. Like it just happens to occur like that. At least in the last 3 years, like that's what I've seen. So basically, at this point, I'm trying my best to advertise less regarding donations. Like, and when I do advertise or when I post online, I try to emphasize the fact that uh, we're seeking not as donations, not as much, but people in general willing to volunteer for us, because it's it makes our job easier too, right? Like if I were to have, if I went out every single trip, still it would be not that I wouldn't do it, but it's just a lot of work, as opposed to if I had like let's say 10 volunteers, it would spread out the deeds all over the world. Like if they went out, like they're going out in New Zealand, for example, but if we had people elsewhere, like if we had people in Brazil or you know California, Seattle, like places like that, like if we had people going out all over there, uh, it would just, I feel like it would just utilize the funds better, in my opinion, just because it's more spread out over the world. And I think that could scale, but we would definitely need to reassess both like how much money is being spent, as well as kind of like have a pre-existing infrastructure, basically, like volunteers that are willing to do all this work for us. Because if we got, like, let's say $1 million tomorrow, uh, as you know, with the way things are right now, I don't think I would be able to just scale it up and say, hey,
Right.
now we're gonna distribute like $10,000 a month, and it's gonna be evenly spread out through the world, because we just don't have that many like consistent volunteers. Basically it would just be either concentrated like right where I'm at, or right where some of our other volunteers are at, but we don't have a team of like 100 people yet, right? So uh, I think we would need that first, and then the main thing is that in this organization, from the very beginning, I've pledged that all the funds are being used for food and goods. So nobody in the organization receives any kind of compensation. Like, nobody gets paid. So to find people that are willing to volunteer for this purpose is also it's also much harder, because in a lot of other nonprofits, even though it's nonprofit, people do still receive a salary, even if it's minimal, right? So, or at least a lot of them do that. So for this one, there's not much incentive other than just being part of the project. So like, unless people feel very strongly about it, either maybe because of their connection with me, or because of their how they feel about homeless people and homelessness in general, it's more difficult to just ask this of somebody, unless they're really passionate about just doing it for the sake of doing it. So that's another barrier for us. Just like it's harder for us to get volunteers because of that.
Well, Ken, I think you came to the right place, because
Yeah,
we've got more than a few misfits. I mean, I think we've got so many people that listen to this podcast that listen to it.
yeah,
They tell me solely just for the opportunity to interact with the people that come on here. So hopefully we can get somebody to drum up some interest for you. I'm for sure. So I do have to ask this, because this just sort of popped into my head, but
of course,
I'm
yeah,
sure somebody's wondering out there. How does the finances of this transaction that's going on, how does that work? I mean, when do people get reimbursed, and should
yeah,
somebody sort of notify you before they want to get involved, or do they decide to
yeah.
participate, or how does that work?
That's a great question. So I'll go through the finances a little bit more in more detail, and I think I can kind of shed some light on how it operates, as well as answer that question. So basically, because it's using crypto, right? There's a lot of risk involved, risk and also volatility. Like we see, for example, like Bitcoin crashes like 50% of its value. That happens a lot, and also it goes up like in value by 300%. Like, you've seen that too, right? So like, in order to be fair, from the very beginning, every time I got a donation, I looked up the value of the donation at on the very day of the donation. So, for example, if someone donated 1 Bitcoin today, I would look it up. It's probably like around $20,000, and I would just record $20,000 as the U.S. dollar value, and that's the end of story. So no matter what happens in the future, if the value crashes by 50%, I'm not gonna say, hey, because the value crashed, I'm only gonna help the homeless out using $10,000, because the person who donated the money to us really intended for us to receive $20,000, right?
Yeah.
And in the same regard, if the value triples in value, still, I recorded it at $20,000, so I will honor the $20,000. So it's both fair for the donor as well as for us. Like, we assume all the risk, basically. So the only way to kind of eliminate volatility from the equation and have no room for any kind of argument about unfairness is just record the value at the time of donation, because that's exactly what the person who donated the crypto to us wanted us to use, right? And I think that's the fairest way to do it. And then, with the scale of the organization right now, even if the donated crypto crashes, like I said, we only do about like $400 a month or so, at least at our current rate. That's really easily done, like, just out of pocket. Like, I could easily afford that and not even have a second thought. So over a long period of time, I'm not really worried about the volatility of the crypto, because I know that after like 10, 20 years, like, the crypto is gonna be probably worth way more than that anyway. So it doesn't even matter, right? So that's kind of like why I'm not really worried about the volatility. And then, regarding the volunteers, what happens is they have to go out and buy the food first. That's a given. And then they also have to print out the flyers that I made, right? And this is important because it adds kind of like legitimacy to the fact that they're volunteering for us, like representing the organization. So they can't just go out and take a picture of a random person giving another person food and say that, hey, this is a crypto for the homeless. Give me like $20 in Bitcoin. Like they can't just do that. They have to print out the flyers so that the flyers are visible during the act of donation. So when they go to a homeless person and eat, let's say they give a pizza to them, if the pizza, on top of the pizza box, there's a flyer that they printed out from our organization. If they take a picture of a homeless person holding that pizza up, then there's no doubt that they bought the pizza and handed it out because they're volunteering for me. In addition to that, all I would need is a receipt. And once I have that, I can kind of confirm, without a shred of doubt, that this photo is not doctored. Like it's not been photoshopped or something. I can just rest easy knowing that it's legitimate, and then I'll reimburse them in crypto for the amount that they paid for the food, on the day that they did it. So if they show a receipt from today, I would give them, like, let's say $20 in Bitcoin, if that's how much they spent on the pizza. That's how we kind of verify whether or not the volunteers are doing what they say they're doing. And the reason why I require that also is because, like, I learned very early on that when I was posting pictures on my own, like, I was met with such heavy skepticism. Like, people online were saying, "Oh, this project is a scam." Like, this guy's, he received $30, but he just spent $10 today. Like he has 20 extra dollars. He's gonna steal the $20. Like, even with small amount of money, like, people were so skeptical about everything. So basically, there was only one way to verify that we are indeed doing what we're saying we're doing, and it's by having, like, a huge backlog of photos, first of all, and then also having every little every little bit of spending just documented. Like, either like, we always take pictures of the receipts. We also document it on a spreadsheet, and we have timestamps on everything. So, it's very meticulously documented.
Well, one of the things that I love about what I saw on your website is something that I think that all nonprofits should do, really. But there's a public ledger that you guys call, I guess, the books or whatever, that
Yeah.
you that you allow people to see. I mean, the transparency in that is perfect. I really
Yeah.
think that's amazing. So, did that sort of result from the comments about, oh, this is a scam or whatever? Or?
When I first started it, I created the books right away because like, if I wanted this to be legitimate, I needed all the spending, all the donations to be recorded. So if you look right now on the website, we have an updated version of the books. One of our co-founders spent quite a lot of time. She spent like over a full week just revamping everything to make it look more user friendly as well, and also have everything compartmentalized. So you could see, like, graphs, visual graphs and everything representing, like, donations over time for every single specific cryptocurrency that we have. There's so many metrics that are being tracked now. The spreadsheet itself also has equations built into it so that once we update one thing, the whole thing just updates. And then there's, like, a running total of all the donations up to this date, the yearly donations as well. So it's just really well parsed, basically. Like, it's like everything is being tracked. My intention at the start was just to be as transparent as possible. But I guess when you're starting an organization like this, people will, they'll be skeptical for good reason, because there's a lot of bad projects, bad scams out there where, it's like a rug pull, like, people just run away with a lot of people's money. Even, like, established organizations, I know, do that. So, why wouldn't they doubt me, right? And I guess I understand that. Some people criticize us for not being completely trustless. Like, I guess they don't even like the fact that there's a human being handling, like, the donations coming in and going out. They want that to be just, like, automatic. They want the books to be automatic. And I mean, maybe it's because I'm not that well versed in programming that I'm not able to do that. But ultimately, in my opinion, when it comes down to it, this organization is about human work, right? And there are a lot of parts of that are just not, like, you just can't automate it. At least not like I don't have the ability to automate it. So I think the way that it's laid out right now is the best that I could do. And I think, like, instead of having it completely trustless, right? Because I'm not able to do that. I at least provided, like, 3+ years of photos and receipts. And I think, like, it's kind of like my own version of proof of work. Like a blockchain basically is a proof of work. I think, like, our photos act as a kind of like our proof of work of what we do.
It's been like 3 years. How many people have you guys helped in those 3 years?
It's been like maybe 3 years and 2 or 3 months. And in terms of number of meals, I remember I was tracking each individual one, but because of our volunteers who feed, like, hundreds of people at a time, it's no longer just, like, down to the very singular meal. But I think it's about 6,000 plus, if I had to guess, like 6,000 plus meals or something like that. So
yeah. That's amazing. That's amazing. All from this idea that a pharmacist had walking back and forth to college and
Yeah.
seeing people. I mean, it just amazes me the scope of what you've done. I think it's fantastic. What is the end game for crypto for the homeless? Where do you guys see the organization in the future? What do you want to do with this moving forward?
So, I mean, one thing is that I wanted to persist even after I'm gone, right? So I want to do this for the rest of my life as long as I can physically do it. And then when I'm unable to do it, ideally, it would continue, like I don't want it to just end with me. And
Yeah,
that I think is a challenge because, like how do people make that happen, right? Like you need to find like, maybe my own children in the future, or, someone much younger than me far in the future who's interested in doing it. So that's basically, I think, like my number one thing. I just want this to have unlimited longevity. I want it to just not die ever. And then
yeah,
the second thing would be just to grow it, to scale it up. Like for example, like imagine you were driving down and you saw like a billboard with a QR code, and you know everybody saw it, and then they took a picture and it just spread like virally on the internet like crazy, right? Uh, I'm sure like something like that would just it would definitely like make the organization grow instantly, but at the same time, like would it be able to handle it? One day I really hope that it gets to that point, right? So we have more full-time employees, more volunteers around the world, just an established infrastructure where we don't have to worry about consistency just because we have so many people. I think that would be like the secondary long-term goal. I love the idea of like kind of disruptive advertisement, right? So something like people haven't seen before. I think that's, in my opinion, like when I see something like that, it gets me more interested in the project and more likely to support whatever that is. Like I saw near my house, there's this billboard. I see it like every single day on my way home from work actually, and it's a real estate agent. There's a picture of him on the left side of the billboard, and it's a picture of when he was younger. He's like about in his 20s, and he looks just like Axl Rose. He's a handsome dude, right? He has like long flowing locks. He looks like a rock star. And then on the right side, it's a picture of him right now. He's like this middle-aged dude. He's like kind of chubby, and like he's balding, and it says on the top, it says still rocking it after 29 years, and then like it says it says like Brad something real estate, right? And I'm like, oh my god, that's so funny, like all the other real estate people, they talk about like how you could trust them, and like it's really boring advertisements, and this guy just has a pic. I'm not even sure if it's real, to be honest. Like I can't even like believe that it's the same person on on the left and the right side, but it really stands out to me. I love it. Every time I see it, I'm just like, man, if I need a real estate agent, I'll probably call this guy, because he
yeah.
really
Well,
caught my attention.
it's
So
it sounds like it's going great for Brad.
yeah, exactly. He's still rocking it after 29 years.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, that makes me think of that Coinbase ad that they just had in the Super Bowl this year where, I mean, nobody knew what it was. It was literally just a QR code going around a black screen like the old DVD thing. And I mean, I think somebody said that it reached like 37 million people or something like that,
Oh wow.
you
Okay.
know? And I mean, it's just like that. All it didn't have anything. It didn't have the name of their company, their logo, or nothing. It literally looked like somebody had turned on a DVD player by accident on the screen, and the little
Yeah.
thing was going around the screen, and
Yeah.
but it had a QR code. People scanned it with their phone, and that many people immediately went to go be entered into a contest for crypto on Coinbase. It's
Wow.
it's it's it
That's insane.
it yeah, it's amazing how those sort of guerrilla marketing tactics work like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love your message of this sort of online digital philanthropy. I think it's the future. I really do, and it's very inspiring. So if somebody wanted to do something similar to what you do, or maybe not even similar to what you do, if you were going to give someone advice about taking on a project like this, because it seems like you sort of didn't know a whole lot about the space when you got
Yeah.
started. If somebody was sort of looking for some advice to like take a step of faith with that, what do you think you would give them?
I think basically just three things. I think like number one, you gotta risk assess, right? Like don't dump like $100,000 in it and then just hope that it works. Like the way I did it was I spent like $10 out of my pocket, and if it failed on that first day, it would have just been a $10 lesson, right? So basically,
Right.
kind of adjust your level of risk accordingly. I think that's first and foremost the first thing I would say, and then the second thing would just be to have tough skin, because like on the internet, everyone is going to hate on you no matter what. Even if you're doing it for the best, out of the goodness of your heart, and like you have just only good intentions, like you will receive so much hate. So you need kind of like thick skin, and then yeah, actually that's basically it. I think those are the main two things, and then kind of see like how maybe other similar projects that are not exactly the same, like how they have reached success, and then kind of take from that the best parts of it and kind of utilize it for your own project.
Well, that thick skin comment makes total sense to me. It's definitely a journey, and apparently you've been reading through my comment section. So, well, I love what you're doing. I really think it's just amazing. If somebody wants to get involved, can you explain the process one more time? Like
Yeah.
how exactly do they do? What do they need to do to get involved with Crypto for the Homeless?
Yeah, sure. So basically, the official way to do it is you just go to cryptoforthehomeless.com. On the very top, there's a button that says volunteer. It's going to open up a form where they can fill out all their information, like how they heard about us, why they're doing this, what their name is, just basic information collection. And then it's going to send an email to all the founders and the people that are working for the organization. And then we're just going to respond with like a kind of like a pre-made message, and then hopefully it's basically like an education thing at the start, because a lot of people that are curious about us are not really aware. Even if everything is laid out on the website, they're not fully 100% sure about how like it works, right? So we give them like a rundown of what we expect from them, like go out, buy food, print the flyer, take pictures, etc. But that's laid out in our response to this form they fill out. And then if they have any further questions, then we have a one-on-one chat, and hopefully eventually we'll get to some kind of live conversation. So if they are really interested, we'll either get their phone number or like their Discord or some kind of way to contact them and just speak with them on a one-on-one basis. And then hopefully by then everything is clarified. Like they'll understand that hey, all they have to do is go out and buy some food, take pictures. We expect these type of pictures. They're required for reimbursement. And then they can also specify what kind of crypto that they want to get reimbursed with as well. And once all of that is kind of established in our conversation, then typically like it goes pretty well. Like they're able to just do it because they understand what to do.
Well, it seems fairly easy and straightforward. I'm sure there will be a bunch of people interested in going to check it out. So I'm really excited for what you're doing. Do you guys have any type of social media? I know cryptoforthehomeless.com you said was the website. Is there any type of social media or anything that you all have as well where people can go check you out a little further?
Yeah, so there's also our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All of them are the same thing. It's CryptoFTHL. We also have our subreddit, which is Crypto for the Homeless, kind of just all in one word.
We'll put links down in the show notes down below for everybody. And Misfits, go check out Ken. I mean, I think what he's doing is just amazing. It's a real sight to see where technology and sort of human existence kind of meet. I really like what you're doing. I think it's a great project. So I'm really happy that there's people out there like you doing what you do. It's really exciting to see.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, no worries, man. Well, we're getting down towards the end of the podcast, and at the end of every episode, I ask all of my guests the same question, and it's one question in two parts. And normally when I ask this, I get this like deer in the headlight looks from people because I didn't prepare them for anything. But the question is this: what was the last goal that you completed, and what's the next goal that you want to set for yourself?
I guess the last goal that I set for myself was to start my life, to start my adult life. So I believe I just did. Like I finished pharmacy school, and I started working as a pharmacist late last year. So that's something that it's beyond a relief for me. Like it's something I was desperately trying to do for my entire life, and I feel like I got started a little bit later than most people, but regardless, I'm very thankful that I did. And then my next goal, I guess, after this is just to cultivate better friendships, better lasting friendships with the friends that I currently have, as well as future friends. Like I think that's something that I kind of didn't do the best job with growing up until now, and I feel like it's something I'm going to put an emphasis on in the future.
That's awesome, man. That's an amazing goal, and I totally understand it. I'm the exact same way. So
yeah,
cool, man. Well, that's good, and congratulations on pharmacy school. I mean, I think that's great. I really like what you're doing. I think you saw a need, and you just sort of pulled the trigger and capitalized on an idea that I don't think a lot of people would have paid attention to, if I'm being honest. I think it's a great thing what you're doing. So I'm really excited to have talked to you. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming on to the show.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Hopefully, we see some copycats too. Like, if I saw another organization that was similar to this one, or very like almost like a copy, I would kind of like that, to be honest. I think that would be really cool. So maybe we'll see something like that in the future.
Well, there you go, Misfits. Go do exactly what Ken's doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I appreciate it, man. It's been a lot of fun talking to you, and I really love what's going on with your situation. Well, Misfits, we did it. That's our episode. As always, I want to thank you so much for listening, and thanks again to our sponsors. If you want to support any of the sponsors of this podcast, there are affiliate links on the sponsors tab of our website over at www.misfit-heroes.com. You can also find links to all of our social media there, so be sure to follow us for immediate up-to-date info about the podcast. Please, if you enjoyed this podcast and you want to help me out, do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button down below so you're notified of new episodes as they're released, and make sure to leave a rating or review of the show on Apple Podcasts and YouTube. Truly, Misfits, I love you. Thank you so much for listening. And until the next time, be kind, love one another, and be a hero.